Hey everybody, so I hope that you guys got that scientific virtual lab turned in today. Remember, I believe in that last video that I showed when we first started the scientific lab back on Wednesday of last week, we went over how to make a graph for it, or I started you off on a graph, and then I'd also like you to finish that graph with your data, okay? So hopefully you guys get that turned in tonight by midnight. Second thing, okay, is we started off on this worksheet called Bad Science TED Talk. Okay, so you should have been able to go to my plan book page, and you would have seen this Goldacre, sorry, battling bad science. Let's see, that's on my plan book page. Oh, why do I have to sign in still? But anywho, it's easy enough to find. It's right here. It's just Bad Science TED Talk, okay? And you will also download this Bad Science TED Talk worksheet, and I'd like you to email that to me, please, so I know that you did it, okay? But all you do is it'll download it and it'll open it up for you. But let's go ahead and go back to this guy. It's a 14 minute, 19-second video. Super interesting. This guy talks a mile an hour, okay? He goes so fast. Mile a minute. Sorry, I guess that's the right expression. But anyways, what I did for the class today is I just went here to settings, playback speed, and I literally went 3/4 speed, 0.75, because he talks that fast, okay? So you may want him to slow it down so it will last a little bit longer. Super interesting talk. Some of it's a little up there, but let's go ahead and talk about what he was saying, okay? So I'm going to give you the bullet point version of what he talked about, but you guys really need to go in there and listen to what he has to say, okay? We're going to have a quiz next week, and I may or may not throw some of this stuff that was on this video, okay, on your quiz. So you'll want to look at it. So let's go ahead and look at this. Downsize this a little bit. Okay. And so for the first 3 or 4 minutes of the video, he starts talking about number one. So from the TED Talk, provide an example of how authority can be misleading. So the first thing he really talks about is this lady whose name is Jillian McKeith, and the credentials, which I misspelled here. Jillian McKeith, she's a nutrition lady. If you watch it, she's got a picture on there with a carrot in her mouth. She has a certificate from the American Association of Nutrition Consultants. Okay. So this certificate is nothing, essentially. Anybody, you could get it, I could get it. The speaker, actually, if you listen to the video, got it for his dead cat, not dog. Got it for his dead cat. And bought it for $60, okay? So this certificate absolutely means nothing. It has nothing to do with anything. And then she's also got a PhD from a non-accredited school in America, okay? So non-accredited means no other professors or no other doctors in America have looked at this program and said this is a legitimate program. So it means nothing. She means nothing. She's just kind of like this pop culture nutritionist, okay? And so obviously we don't really want to listen to somebody like that, okay? So you may want to pause this video, type this stuff down that I have written here, and you guys will want to save this to study from, right? So let's move on to number two. As you get about 3.5, 4 minutes into this video, it starts talking about how trials can be manipulated to produce false results and mislead doctors and consumers. Provide at least 3 examples. I got a couple here. So she starts talking about red wine first, I think prevents breast cancer. And he goes on to, he looks at this article where it says red wine prevents breast cancer, and then he finds out how the study was done, right? He needs evidence. So that's why we don't really take authority, okay? If I see somebody with a PhD, yeah, generally I do think that they know what they're talking about. However, we've learned that this lady has a PhD supposedly and has a certificate that she bought for $60, and that's all you need. You need facts. You need evidence. You need proof of this stuff, okay? And so this guy goes in and he looks for proof, right? He looks at their trials and how they did them. So this red wine, evidently he looked at it, and these people, they took the enzymes from a red grape, and then they started dripping it onto a tumor on a dish. Okay, that's far different than someone drinking red wine and then that preventing cancer for them, okay? That's just 2 different things. Then they go on to, I think olive oil gives you less wrinkles. And also along with fruit and vegetables. And obviously that's a healthy diet, but he also talks about, well, let's look at this group of individuals that eat religiously healthy, right? You're also going to tend to not have such a labor-intensive job. You're probably not going to be a smoker, probably not going to drink a lot of alcohol, and you're going to just, in general, you're going to make some more healthier choices in your life. So it's not necessarily just based on olive oil along with fruits and vegetables, right? There's going to be other healthy factors that these people do as well that keeps them from getting this wrinkly skin, okay? Fish oil pills talks about how that will make them smarter, or kids smarter or more well-behaved in school. And so what do? Well, they don't have a control group, right? They take 3,000 kids, they give them fish oil, and then they predict what their score should be. And then they have them take this test. And of course, these kids score better than their predicted results, right? You guys wouldn't like it if I gave you a test, or I didn't give you a test and I just predicted what test score you got, and that's the test score, right? That wouldn't do any group. And good. But then on top of that is there's no control group. And by a control group, he starts talking about a control group and placebos, okay? A control group is you need a group that is not on fish oil, right? That's just a normal, regular group that would do the same exact thing as this fish oil group. And on top of that, so let's talk about a placebo. A placebo is a fake pill, essentially, or it's a fake pill, right? It's going to do nothing for you. Okay, so we need, let's say, 3,000 kids taking a placebo or this fish oil, and then maybe we need the other 3,000 to take the fish oil pill, but they don't know which one they're taking. Okay, so the mind's a powerful thing. Your mind can actually talk you into being, you can have self-esteem, and obviously we know if the higher self-esteem you can have of yourself, you can actually have better test scores and perform better in daily life. Okay, so if we're going to really figure out if it's the fish oil, in fact, that's giving you the best test scores, there needs to be a placebo. Okay, and two groups of kids that are taking this test. One group that's not taking fish oil and the other one that is taking fish oil to be a valid experiment. Okay, and then finally, I like this Tamiflu one, and I would definitely listen to this Tamiflu one. This video can kind of be up there. It's a little hard to understand, but that's why I'm kind of walking through. Tamiflu is actually a pretty common drug. So if you have the flu, the early onsets of flu, you're supposed to take Tamiflu as soon as possible, and then it's supposed to make the side effects less, and it also reduces the time you're being sick. Well, anyways, I guess I think it's Australia he talks about in the video won't buy Tamiflu until Tamiflu gives them all of their data. So Tamiflu actually doesn't make all of their data and all of their trials public. They give out the trials and the data that they want to, and then the other trials and data they keep away, and they keep them in a vault somewhere where we can't see them. But I guess Australia has been asking for them, and they just won't give it to them. So there kind of seems to be a problem with that, right? We want to see all of the data that they have to offer, because there's a good chance that data in the vault probably doesn't show what they want it to show. Okay, so we need to be wary of stuff like that. And that's kind of what this whole video revolves around, is we need to be wary of these individuals who cherry pick evidence. They only tell us what they want us to hear so that their product is the best. Okay, and as he goes into big time about pharmaceuticals, and I know you guys probably don't know a whole lot about pharmaceuticals, but they're the ones who produce medicines, produce pills and things like that. Right. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of big pharma and stuff like that. A lot of people aren't big fans of them because they got a lot of money. And anytime you throw money at something, money can kind of sidetrack even the best of people with the best of intentions. Okay, so if they want them to report on this, well, if they give them a whole lot of money, they will report on whatever they want them to say. So number 3 here says at the very end, he makes a statement. What does the speaker mean by this? All of these things that are happening in plain sight, such as Tamiflu holding back data, red wine prevents breast cancer, Jillian McKeith up here just kind of spouting off whatever she wants, and she really has no credentials. This stuff's all in plain sight, but it's being protected by a force field of tediousness, meaning they're being very careful with what they're doing. And I think with all of the problems in science, one of the best things we can do to lift up the lid, one of the best things that we can do is to lift up the lid, finger around on the mechanics, and peer in. What does he mean by this? Essentially, he's just saying, do your own homework, look into the stuff for yourself, and don't just take somebody else's word for it, okay? That's authority. Don't take somebody's word for it just because you think they should know what they're talking about. They need to have proof, they need to have evidence, and they need to tell us how they got that evidence and how they got that proof so we can verify it, okay? So anyways, that took up a lot of our class time today, all right? And then we skipped on over and we finished identifying variables worksheet, okay? We did not get to the scientific articles, the 2 scientific articles. Hopefully we'll get to those on Friday. It's just taken a lot longer than I thought to get there. But anyways, last time I made up this video, I did number 1 with you guys. So today in class we did number 2, and then I assigned 3 through 6 to everybody else, and I had them turn it in. On Friday, or they're going to turn it in on Friday. Okay, so let's do number 2. So remember what our dependent and independent variable is up here. So we're going to underline independent. We're going to circle dependent. Like I said, you can underline one and then just highlight the other one instead of circling it. So number 2 says, how does the amount of light affect the growth of a plant? Okay, how does the amount of light affect the growth of a plant? So what's our independent? One thing that the experimenter changes on purpose. So it looks like the experimenter here, if we're thinking about this, right? I'm thinking about maybe there's a couple different groups of plants, okay? Maybe there's 3 groups of plants, and each group of plant is going to experience different amounts of light, right? Because we want to see how much they grow, if they grow differently based on their light. So maybe I have one group over here, that group of plants, they are sitting in light for 3 hours. The next group is sitting in light for 5 hours, and the next group of plants is sitting in the light for 10 hours, okay? And so what's something that's being controlled here? Well, the amount of light, like I just said here. I got flying around here, okay? So the amount of light in this case would actually be our independent variable, the variable that is being controlled, okay? And then our growth of a plant is actually going to be our dependent variable. So the growth of a plant, how much is a plant going to grow? Well, it depends on how much sunlight it gets, right? You guys know that plants need sunlight to grow, okay? So growth of a plant is dependent upon the amount of light that they get. So what are some constants? What are some variables, constants or controls that they might have in here? Well, let's think about this. And I would like you to give me 2 controls for these other ones when you guys go to turn in. So give me at least 2 controls for each of these. Okay, so a easy one would be water. We want to give them all the same amount of water. If we give them different amounts of water, they will grow differently, obviously. Okay, what else? Well, how about soil? Probably should put them all in the same type of soil. Fertilizer, if you give them fertilizer at all, things like that. So I just put soil, potting soil. You don't want to put one in nice black dirt and the other one in like clay or something, or like pebbles. I don't know. Okay, so we want to keep that stuff consistent. Maybe put them in the same temperature as well, right? We know that grass dies or goes dormant during the winter, and during the summer it grows if it's nice, moist, and hot. Okay, so maybe temperature would be another one. That should be the same. All right, a hypothesis, prediction. So let's look at this. So when I'm making my hypothesis and prediction, I want to essentially restate the question. Okay, so I'm just going to take the question, I'm going to put in a statement form, and I use an if and then statement. So if we put a plant in more sunlight, then it will grow more, okay? And let's say you don't necessarily know if that's true, okay? Because there's a couple down here, like oxygen level affecting oyster population. Oysters are kind of like clams, by the way. Like maybe you really don't know the correct answer to that. So most of us probably know this one or this top one about the eye chart. But if you, matter of fact, don't know the correct answer, that's fine. That's what a hypothesis is. You don't need to correctly answer it. It's not a guessing game, okay? What determines what a great experiment is, or a successful experiment is you got true numbers, you got true data, and you reported on that, okay? And that's all. You don't want to try to prove your hypothesis correct. You just want to see what is true. Okay. But anyways, so there is that. If you guys need help, like I said, there's a quiz coming up next week. We'll get some notes going on Friday, I imagine. Hopefully, we'll get to that scientific article. And I do have another worksheet that's practicing identifying parts of the scientific method. Okay? Have a good one, guys.